My stepbrother has a habit of pulling pranks on me. He doesn't like me, he doesn't love me, he doesn't want to do anything with me except for cause havoc in my life and at school with his group of popular friends who like to play pranks on me. Well, recently, he's gone too far, and this is what I have to say about it.
Hello everyone, my name's Alexa, and this is my first time posting on this platform, so I don't know the ins and outs that go on here. But I'm here to share my story because I know it's probably happening to so many of you as well, and quite frankly, it's annoying. My stepbrother publicly humiliated me in front of the entire school and now is not apologizing. I feel like beating him up at this point. Wait, let me start with the backstory so you guys can understand where I'm coming from a bit better. So basically, my parents went through a messy divorce a few years back, and it quite literally broke my family apart. My mom did not really care for me that much anymore because she was so hurt that my dad could actually leave her like that. So she tried disregarding me and stuff, but then she found Henry. He was her business partner for a deal that they've been trying to close for a few years. I didn't think much of it when my mother would come home and go on a rant about this new guy in her office and how he was terrific in all aspects. I thought it was a bit silly, a little admiration for a guy who had a good work ethic, but that slowly turned into something much bigger. One day, my mom came home and dropped a bomb on me, telling me that she'd started to date Henry and did not even listen to anything I had to say about it. I mean, I thought she'd at least want my opinion on something like this because obviously it's going to affect me as well, but she brushed my concerns off and told me I had nothing to worry about because Henry was a great guy. 2 months go by, and my mom tells me they're engaged. In 2 months. It happened so fast that I could not even process the entire thing, and before I knew it, we were moving into their house, and Henry was now my stepfather. It would not have been that bad because he really wasn't that bad of a person. But the entire problem was that he had a son who was my age, but he was the exact opposite of me. I was a nerd, he was a popular, and I didn't have a lot of friends. Whereas he always surrounded himself by a bunch of people. I was stupid to think that I could get along with him even if we were so different, but I guess he was at fault for making me think this way as well. When I moved in, I had to change everything in my life, including my school. This meant that I left all my friends behind and I didn't really have anyone I knew at school except Dylan, my stepbrother. I thought that he'd be a great sibling even if we weren't blood related, and that he'd make sure that I had a nice school experience, but he did nothing like that. He always made sure that I stayed away from him and did not talk to him at all. Initially, he did not even want people to know that we were related, because he didn't really like me that much. Apparently, he thought my mom was trying to replace his mother, and that I was just a random piece that came along. He said that he could bear his mom, but he didn't have the patience to handle me. That's not all, though. Dylan has had a habit of pranking people who annoyed him, and obviously I was at the top of the list. His prank started off harmless and did not bother me too much. It was pretty, petty stuff, like he'd misplaced my earphones, taken out all the tissues from the box, stuff like that. All these things were very annoying, especially when I came home tired from classes or work. However, I did my best to handle it and not be too much of a baby about it because I didn't want to make things hard for myself and my mom as well. Later, his friends started joining in as well. Everyone in school found out that I was his stepsister and that he wasn't exactly fond of me either. So when he'd prank me, they'd get involved as well. In school, they tried to just scare me in the hallways, make me drop my books, and all the cliches that you can see on the internet have been done to me. And while I'd be picking up my mess with an embarrassed look on my face, they would laugh and act like it was the most entertaining thing that happened to them that day. I would not let our parents know what was going on because it seemed like they already favored him in everything. Even my mom. I was biologically related to her, but she liked it when I stayed quiet and Dylan was in front of everything. If he gets good grades, they'd be proud of him. But if I got good grades, they'd ask why I didn't get better grades. Things like these seem very small when you hear them, but they affect a person a lot. So when Dylan played pranks on me and made school a terrible place for me, I could not tell either of them because I knew they would tell me to suck it up and deal with it like a grown-up, even though I'm just a high school senior. I don't know what I did wrong, but I knew I was an idiot when I thought I would be able to talk to Dylan out of pranking me. One day he made me feel very embarrassed at school about something, and I decided that I'd talk to him about it, and maybe we could come to some common ground, where I stay away from him and he stays away from me. When I told him the idea, he seemed to be very amused just by the idea that I was coming to him and telling him to stop. Like he could not believe I had the nerve to do that. I should have just realized it at that point and given up, but I was an idiot who was too naive. I really thought that I could make somebody like him understand just by talking to him. Anyways, when I was done with my little rant, he just looked me up and down and then broke into a very sly grin that at this time seemed like a friendly smile. He then told me that there was a Halloween party that was happening at his friend's house and that I should come. I was very suspicious about the entire thing, but I had my reasons. First, the friend whose house the party was at was insanely popular and was in Dylan's friend group. There was no way the others agreed to have me at their party when they kept making my life miserable in school. I brushed this concern off, though, because this was an open party, everyone and anyone from school could come to these, so I didn't really need their permission. There was a possibility that they would not even notice me being there, but the next thing was that it caused some weird feelings in me. Dylan told me he wanted me to be there so we could, quote, fix our relationship, and that he would try to not prank me anymore. He told me that he heard what I said and understood where I was coming from. He felt and sounded genuine, and I believed him. It was a very big mistake. I told Dylan that I would think about it, and that I would let him know if I was going or not. I didn't want to go, even though Dylan told me that there was no one who would bother me. I didn't want to go to a party where nobody knew me. And the only people who did were the ones who kept pranking me and annoying me at school. But then Dylan came to my room that night before the party and told me that I was ruining the chances of acting like a normal siblings by refusing to go to the party. Emotionally, he tried to convince me to go and get ready to pick my outfit. At that point, it seemed like he was genuinely trying to spend some time with me and introduce me to his friends so they would stop picking on me. I didn't want to let this opportunity go, so I convinced myself that it would be all okay, and if he got too much for me, I would just leave. Secretly, I got a little excited because this was the first party I'd ever been attending ever since I moved to this town, and I wanted to have a little bit of fun. In previous years, for Halloween, my friends and I would always go all out while dressing up. We'd pick matching outfits, and our goal would be to make it funny and entertaining, so we could actually have a bit of fun and an amazing Halloween. That's why I did exactly that at this party as well, and I picked up a ghost outfit because I didn't have a lot of time to get another one. I got a big white sheet, painted eyes on it, and the plan was I would drape it over me so I'd be the ghost. To me, it seemed like an incredible idea. I even texted one of my friends from back home to see what they thought about it. They told me it was super creative and fun as well. After I got their approval, I got even more excited about this party. When the day of the party arrived, I was bursting with energy. My outfit wasn't the most creative, but I felt it would be pretty good. I wanted it to be nice so that no one gave me trouble over it. I just wanted the party to be the place where I cleared up all the misunderstandings with everybody and just got along well together. Anyways, I arrived at the party and I was very confused. Everyone there was dressed up cute and pretty. I felt like the main purpose of the party was just to socialize and be cute, not what Halloween is actually about. Everywhere I looked, people were wearing something that made them look insanely pretty, especially the girls. They were wearing costumes. It wasn't like they weren't, but their costumes were also dresses or outfits that were really pretty. I looked like an absolute loser. When I got there, I wanted to go home right away, but then people started hanging out near the door, and I got too shy to get past them since they were a really big group. So I decided to suck it up and just go somewhere where it's not as crowded so that people would not notice me. For a second, I was comforted by the fact that nobody would recognize me because my face was hidden behind the sheets and only my eyes were visible. That was before I remembered that Dylan knew what I was wearing because I had shown it to him. Well, this morning when he came into my room to ask me if I was attending, he asked to see my costume as well. I wasn't exactly prepared at that point, so I told him what the plan was and he told me it's a great idea. Now that I look back, he knew the entire time that I would be the odd one out and that nobody dresses this way here. There's absolutely no way that he would not know what the entire thing would play out like. This was his plan, and now I was stuck in it. I tried talking to a few people at the party because I was already there and I just wanted to make the most of it. But then I realized that they were secretly talking about my costume, about how ridiculous I look in it. That's when I thought I did not belong with these people, and that I might never actually find friends who would be willing to hang out and talk to me. Even though they did not know who was behind the ghost sheet, they were making fun, and I was sure that they would increase their teasing even more when they found out that it was me. Wow. That's when I just tried to sneak out of the party as quickly as I could, obviously. I wasn't very successful because just as I was about to reach the door, Dylan and his friends came in front of me. Dylan noticed that I was there because he was the only one who was aware of the fact that I was wearing a ghost costume. In my head, I was practically begging him not to pay attention to me, and I was dumb enough to think that he would do his best to not embarrass me because we agreed on being on good terms. The entire thing was a lie, and Dylan did not actually want our relationship to get better. He saw me, practically rushed to me, and got the sheet off of me. I was wearing pajamas underneath because I did not think that I'd have to show anyone what I was wearing underneath my costume. It was embarrassing to see everybody look at me and then laugh while pointing fingers. I looked like an idiot, and I felt like one too. Dylan and his friends started laughing really loud. They made everybody comment on how I was looking, and every time I tried to leave the party, they would block my way. I did not think that they'd get this bad, but I guess Dylan disliked me to this extent. I even saw him take a picture of me, probably a blackmail material or something like that. Even though everybody wasn't focused on me because it was a big party, there was still a lot of people whose attention I managed to grab. All of them looking at me and laughing at me was something that I don't think I can ever remove from my memory even when I get old. I managed to get out of the party, and I ran to our house while bursting into tears. My parents were asleep by the time I got home, but I contemplated waking them up and telling them what their precious little son did. However, I did not think that they would care about it because for them, Dylan can never do anything wrong. So I just went back home and cried myself to sleep. It's been 2 days since that happened, and every time Dylan sees me, he just shows me the picture at the party and gave me a sarcastic response. Even his friends and everybody at school started to bother me again. Well, I have no hope of bonding with him anymore because this time he took the prank way too far, and I don't think I can forgive him for it. I haven't told my parents about what happened, and neither has Dylan. So either he doesn't care about it enough, or he's scared of their reaction as well. And seeing all the people who witnessed me in my pajamas at a party. Update number 1. So after about a week of the prank, I decided to tell my parents what had happened. Initially, I was just going to let it go and pretend like something like that happened never. But Dylan would not let me forget it even if I tried. He was always showing me the pictures that he took, and the entire week, every time I entered class or he saw me in the hallways at lunch or anywhere, he would loudly start talking about it, and his friends would join in as well. It was getting a bit ridiculous because the prank had gone way too far and affected me a lot. I let him know that it was bothering me and asked him to stop, but he didn't listen. Instead, he just laughed in my face and told me there was nothing I could do to stop him. So I thought maybe our parents could be the ones to stop him instead. I was wrong, though, because they did not stop him at all. When I came home from school yesterday, I let them know what happened while Dylan was at soccer practice. I told them how Dylan was pranking me and bothering me in school and stuff like that, but it felt like they weren't paying attention to me that much. While I was in the middle of letting them know what happened at the party, Dylan walked through the front door. Instantly, he understood what was happening, and by the smirk that started growing on his face, I knew I was the one who was about to get in trouble instead. Well, Dylan stood next to me while I told them how I went to the party all dressed up. Dylan exposed me wearing pajamas and kept showing me my picture every day for the entire week. I thought that they would get Dylan and tell him off, but they started giggling when they heard about it. First, my stepfather starts to chuckle, but then my mom looked at him, processed what I said, and then joined in with the laughter. I stood there mighty confused because I could not believe they were laughing while I was telling them what happened. But that's when I realized what was happening. They weren't taking me seriously, so I blew up on them. I wasn't exactly screaming, but I was pretty loud when I told them that they should not be laughing at this, and that they needed to stop favoring Dylan and everything that he does. However, they just looked at me and told me to stop being such a whiny baby and grow up. According to them, this was a harmless prank that most teenagers do, and I was simply being dramatic about the entire situation. They even asked Dylan how he managed to come up with the prank idea, and then he started talking about it. I could feel my heart shattering at that moment because this was not the reaction I expected from them. I looked at my mom with tears in my eyes, but she just shook her head and told me I was too spoiled and babied before, and now I need to grow up and act like a mature woman who can handle herself. I still can't believe what happened, but I'm not surprised, honestly. I don't know what to expect from this family anymore. Update number 2. So, since my parents did not want to help in any way, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Basically, it's been a while since the last update, right? It's been a month since then, and during the entire month I was pranked and teased constantly by Dylan and his friends. It was getting really annoying, and I wanted to prank them back, but I've never done anything like that in my life. So I was a bit clueless about what to do. The worst part was that gossip travels really fast in high school, and I experienced that firsthand. In the beginning, it felt like not a lot of people were aware of what happened, but then slowly everybody found out, which meant that everyone kept coming up to me and talking to me about it, and I didn't want to relive the memory every single day, but it felt like nobody was listening. That's when I realized that I needed to put Dylan in his place. If he realized that I was the wrong person to mess with, he would stop bothering me. That's what I was thinking, so I decided to prank him back. His birthday was yesterday, and it's been a full month since the Halloween party that happened. It was the perfect day to prank him. I didn't want to go as far as he did, but I definitely wanted to embarrass him and make him feel like a loser, just like he made me feel. Over time, I realized that Dylan is deathly afraid of insects. Whenever he sees one, he starts to scream and run away. This one time, there was a cockroach in our living room wall, and it was so close to Dylan that he started to cry when he saw it. I should have taken a video of that to show everybody, but I was getting another chance now. My plan was to bring him this very pretty, luxurious-looking present, only for him to open it and find cockroaches and other insects I found outside our home. It would scare him so much, and I'm pretty sure nobody from school knows about his little fear. So they'll get to know about it ASAP. Well, Dylan hosted a very, very big birthday party where he invited all of his friends from school. And from his soccer team as well. There were also going to be a lot of relatives from his dad's side over there as well, and this meant that all these people were going to see his nervous breakdown, and I was honestly very excited about it. When the day of the party came, I made sure to wrap the insects in a very pretty box so that nobody could figure out what was actually in them. I also made sure not to write my name on the case, just in case Dylan chose to ignore the present because of me. But that's not the only thing that I planned for him. You see, the cake cutting part was before he opened the gift, so I thought, why not have a little more fun and shove his face into the cake? So that's exactly what I did. While he was cutting the cake, I shoved his face into the cake, and everybody burst out into laughter. Well, everybody from school did, because the adults did not think it was funny, and neither did Dylan. He yelled at me a bit before remembering his school friends were here, so he gave me a sarcastic remark, while acting like he wasn't that bothered by it. While he was washing his face off, I positioned my gift in a way that would make him want to open it first. That's exactly what he did as well. When he opened the gift, though, his face turned red. He screamed so loudly, and I don't think I'd ever heard anyone scream that loud. He even started crying. That too, in front of all his friends, and I'm telling you right now, it was hilarious. However, our parents did not think it was that funny, so I'm currently grounded, but I reckon I'll be out in a day. Hopefully. Update number 3. Okay guys, I know, it's been a few months since Dylan's birthday, and honestly, my parents and relatives were treating me like I murdered him. It's making me really mad because what he did to me was way worse than what I did to him. The only difference is that they like Dylan more than they like me, so they chose to ignore that part. Basically, what happened was, Dylan made a big show about his fear of insects and how I was playing his emotions like that. The worst part was that the entire family was there as well, so they witnessed it happen, whereas nobody was there to see what Dylan did to me at Halloween. Everyone has treated me really badly ever since that day. My parents stopped talking to me until it was something important, and Dylan started bullying me even more, especially at school. Even our relatives came to me at the party and told me I was mean and selfish to ruin Dylan's special day. It started to get to me a lot, but hey, there's one thing that I can't forget: my birthday was a few weeks ago, and I thought that they'd at least acknowledge what the day was, even if they were acting as if they hated me every since that day. However, they did nothing. For my birthday, nothing. I woke up expecting a wish from my mother at least, but she didn't even glance at me before I had to leave for school. When I reached school, Dylan kept bullying me the entire day along with his friend group. By the time I got home, I was mentally and physically exhausted. As soon as I saw my parents in the living room watching TV together, I went up to them and demanded an explanation as to why they did nothing for my birthday, or if they even remembered my birthday at all. Their response made me rethink whether I actually consider this my family anymore or not. They told me I had no right to celebrate my birthday and be happy about it if I ruined Dylan. It was unfair, because on Dylan's birthday I was simply taking revenge for what he did to me. They did not seem to care about any of that and told me to go to my room and start my homework, if I did not want to be an even bigger embarrassment to them. Well, apparently I had caused them shame in front of their relatives, and now they think that I'm a spoiled brat who likes to ruin days when other people are happy. My parents did not even bother correcting them or mentioning that Dylan embarrassed me much more with his Halloween prank. They just agreed with whatever the relatives were saying. Since that day, I've been completely excluded from my family. Nobody talks to me anymore. Nobody even acknowledges me. It's like I'm not even a part of the family. Honestly, I can't wait to move out for college and get away from this family because they don't treat me like their own anymore. They treat me like an outcast, and I don't know how much longer I can handle it. Update number 4. This is the final update of the story. Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've posted. I forgot about it entirely because it's been a really long time. However, something's been happening in my life that made me remember how I made this post because I had no one else to talk to. Now, I don't have people around me who are amazing, but they never understand what I've been through. Unlike those who have read my previous post, if you have, you know what my family is like and basically how they treated me like an outcast ever since I started to reply to every prank and bullying that my brother's been aiming at me. As soon as I turned 18, I left the house for college and never looked back. I didn't talk to them at all, and they did not try to reach out to me either. However, it's been 8 years since I've left that house. I got my bachelor's degree, and now I'm a successful computer scientist. I don't mean to brag when I say this, but I'm earning really well. Initially, I did not want to let my family know about anything related to me, but I guess they found out through my cousin, and my cousin, who works for the same company as me, knows how well off I am. So she probably told my parents, because they found out and now they're back in my life. My stepbrother Dylan, the one that they favored so much, has not been taking care of them as he should. Both my parents are retired now, and they relied on Dylan to send them money and take care of them, especially because Dylan's been mentioning them living in an old age home for a very long time. I'm sure they expected Dylan to take care of them for all their lives, but they didn't understand that he's selfish, who only wants what's best for him and doesn't even care about other people around him. Both of my parents called me a week ago, asking to help them financially and give them emotional support. Wow, they didn't want to be placed in an old age home and were begging me to take them in and help them get their life better. Initially, I wasn't so sure about helping them because they didn't help me when I needed it. The way they treated me, I should not have even picked up their call. But I did because that was the first time they called me in years. I told them I'd think about it and let them know, but they burst into tears on the phone while begging me to say yes to helping them. I almost gave in, but I wanted to ask my husband what he thought of it first. He's the only person who's better there for me all these years, and I'm not about to make such an important decision without listening to what he thinks about it. However, after talking to my husband, I did call them back, but I did not help them immediately. I let them know that they would only get my help if they agreed to apologize to me face to face. They didn't want to because their pride was bigger than they expected, but I told them I was not going to help them if they did not apologize. So they came over yesterday and cried their eyes out while apologizing and begging me to help them. Dylan could not throw them out of the house because it was under my stepfather's name, and the only reason he was threatening to put them in an old age home was because he didn't want to take care of them financially, so I agreed to do it. I took care of their basic needs, but then I had another condition for helping them. The most that they would get were things they needed to survive. I would not be paying for any luxuries or anything fun because they don't deserve that after the way they've treated me over the years. If they want something like that, they can go beg their favorite child for it.
Alright guys, I'm just going to skip the beginning of the story. We know how it played out. I want to get to the meat and potatoes of the end of the story because this is what all the comments were talking about. They were not happy at all with OP's decision to help out the parents. I want to know your thoughts about this because, well, we all know that OP was basically mistreated by her brother, Dylan, and her parents. Long story short, I want to know what you would do. Would you give out some assistance, financial helping hands with these people who caused your life to be chaotic and never stuck up for you? Or do you just tell them to kick rocks and go after their favorite son, Dylan? Let him handle it. I want to know your thoughts because I will say the majority of the comments from the update section, they were basically saying how OP should have never, ever, ever accepted them back into her life. Let me know your thoughts about that. And if you guys are new to the channel, my name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every single day. So if you want to be a part of these daily stories, click that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the like. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.